Okay, so you've decided that you want to study for the IELTS, but where do you begin? That's what this video is all about.
By the end of this, I think that you guys will be confidently ready to take your first steps.
Definitely. So my name's Phil.
And I'm Mike.
And you're watching the IELTS Grind.
Remember to like and subscribe.
Okay, so let's get into it. Let's begin with, it's the first day. Okay. You've just found out what the IELTS test is.
Oh no.
And you're wondering, how can you get started? What should you do first? So the most important thing is, what is the IELTS? If you don't know what the IELTS test is, how it's formatted, that's something you should find out about, okay? So to run through it very quickly, you're tested on all 4 skills, so writing, reading, listening, and speaking. And the test is basically 4 different papers. Well, 3 papers and a speaking test list.
Yes.
Yeah. So go over to, there's a link in the description which will take you over to idp.com, and there you can actually download like the entire format. It tells you exactly what to expect.
They also say the question types, model examples of what they look like.
Yeah. So that's the other thing I was going to say. Learning the different question types for each paper, that's also very important. Yeah.
Yeah. They each have their own strategies that you need to be able to work in order to do well. Like generally I've seen 2 types of students. There are students who come in who just have a low general English ability and they know nothing about the test. But then often I also see students who have a higher general English ability, but they're still doing poorly on the test because they just don't know the format.
Yeah. That's a very important thing to know, and that's going to influence how you study and prepare for it. So the next thing you need to consider is buying or finding some study material that will help you with those question types and all that sort of thing. Yeah.
You can actually buy old test papers.
Yeah, those are really good. Yeah.
And it's not a scam. Like Cambridge releases books
that
are the previous tests. Each book usually has about 4 tests, and just getting one of them to see what it's like, it would be very helpful.
Yeah, definitely recommend that. And yeah, buy it. I think you've got to support Cambridge. Getting it for free, that's probably not a great idea. Okay, the next thing you should consider is, are you going to join a class or a course? Or are you going to try and study on your own? Well, it is possible to study on your own, but sometimes you need a native English teacher to help you.
Especially with things like speaking.
Yeah, and writing.
And writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think listening and reading, most people could do that on their own.
But the other thing that a course gives you is structure, right?
Yeah, that's really important.
It's, if you are a super self-motivated student, you know, it's doable, but most of us aren't.
Yeah. So think about, joining a class. But of course, don't forget you can watch our YouTube channel, because we're going to be here helping you and telling you all the things that you need to know about the IELTS. And we're just full of tips and advice for studying. So we're also a good source of material.
You can go check out our catalog right now.
Yeah.
Okay. The next thing is, I always tell students the IELTS exam is testing 2 different things. It's testing your knowledge of the tests, like we had talked about before. Do you know the question types? Do you know the strategies to deal with them? Can you identify distractors well? That kind of stuff. But there's also your general English ability. That's the main reason schools are having you take this test. Yeah. And, you still need to raise this up. If you understand how to do the test questions, but your general English ability is like a 4 or 5, you've got to raise that up to the appropriate level.
So the best way to do that is a really good study plan. Yeah. So there are certain things that you have to study, and it's split between those 2 things: the how to actually take the test, the strategies for that, and your general English. So definitely one of the things on that is learning your grammar, your grammar structures. So go through all of the grammar tenses, your present simple, your present continuous, your present perfect, simple and continuous.
Once you get a handle on those, then you can move on to the more advanced ones, like relative clauses, any other type of clauses, like
conditional
structures, like there's a lot.
Definitely, yeah. And what we're going to do is we're going to put all of this into a handy little PDF cheat sheet, which you can go to our website. There's a link below, and we'll just give you a list of things that you should be learning, okay, for grammar in particular.
And as you learn them, you can just check them off the sheet.
Yeah. Another thing to think about is vocabulary. Okay. There are often common kind of topics that come up in the IELTS, but the actual topics for the speaking, for example, they change every time. So you can look at past papers and learn vocabulary in particular groups. So work, for example, study, these are common themes for IELTS generally. Yeah. You can also think about common themes like pollution, etc. You should be learning vocabulary for particular groups. But what we don't recommend you do is learn lists of vocabulary. There's a much better method for learning vocabulary, isn't there?
Yes. Well, first, there's two things that you should be doing. One of which is you should get a vocabulary notebook where you can play with the words. Basically,
play with the words.
Yes, you need to play with the words.
Caress the words.
you need to be using them. And
Yeah.
one of the best ways to use them is by organizing them. You can organize them in mind maps and charts, making your own picture dictionary. Just use it again and again in this vocab notebook.
Yeah.
But an even better way to learn vocabulary, and you should be doing both of these things, is reading for fun.
Yeah.
Now, what this means is basically you should be reading below your level. If you're a 5.5, you should be reading at a 5 or a 4 level, and you'll be seeing these words again and again. Did you know to learn a new word, you need to see it at least 26 times? I know, so many.
There's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah,
There's a
but
lot.
when you read, you see it. And you also get a deeper understanding because you
Definitely.
see it in different sentences.
Yeah.
You see different collocations, different ways that it fits.
So in your study plan, you've got to fit in that reading for pleasure, that reading for fun element. So each day, absolute minimum 20 minutes.
20 minutes every single day.
Yeah. If you can do more, it's okay, but you shouldn't just do reading, yeah? The other thing that's really good for picking up vocabulary is also to watch series, TV series. If you have access to Netflix, then it's as simple as that. You can really use this to help you improve not only your listening skills, but also your vocabulary.
And you should be using subtitles, but be careful. I don't mean watch everything once in your native language.
Oh, no.
That won't help you. If
Not
you're watching, like, for example, if you speak Chinese, if you're watching the Chinese subtitles, you're going to be thinking in Chinese. You can use the Chinese subtitle version as a tool to make sure you understand everything that's happening, but the only thing that will be helping your English is by using English subtitles or no subtitles.
Yeah.
So generally we recommend you watch an episode 2 times, first using your native language and then second in English, or if you're higher level, you switch that. Okay. And this also just raises your general English ability. Just listening to it again and again helps that. And of course that will help your listening test.
Yeah. So not only do you need to practice your grammar and practice your vocabulary, building your vocabulary through these methods, you also need to spend time on all 4 skills. So reading, listening, writing and speaking. This should be in your studies schedule. So during a typical week, you need to cover all 4 of those skills. Yeah. And you need to be doing that following the format of the test, okay?
Generally what we recommend is if you know you have a fair amount of time, you have a lot of time to study, you should be learning how to do the different question types for the readings and the listenings and practicing those one at a time until you're pretty comfortable with them. As you get closer to the test, what you need to be doing is worrying about time control.
Yeah.
And what that means is you should be doing 3 readings in 1 hour. The whole 4 listenings in 30 minutes with maybe an extra 10 to be checking your answers.
Yeah.
You're trying to copy test taking conditions.
Yeah, because it's very different having all afternoon to read 3 texts compared to 1 hour.
Yes.
Even for native speakers, it's a challenge, right? So you need to be practicing this. The more you do it, the easier it will become. Yeah.
But remember, you only really need to start doing that as you get closer to your test.
Yeah.
The first thing you should be doing is learning how to answer the different types of questions.
Yeah. And as you said, when you get closer to taking your test, when you're a couple months out, you should be taking the full mock test. Yeah. I would say running up to it at least once a week, probably a couple months before your test, just to get used to the conditions of a full test.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Because that's really showing that you have good time control. One of the reasons the IELTS exam is so difficult is because of the fact that it's a lot of English. Like you do a full 30 minutes, you know, with 10 minutes to transfer your answers, you have a full 30 minutes of listening only to English. And then you have a full hour of reading 3 texts. And then you have another full hour of writing in English. It's a lot. Like, it's an endurance test.
It is,
you
definitely.
need to be able to keep going the whole time.
Yeah. Okay, and then after you've come up with a very good study plan, and you're also going to make sure that you do mock tests as you're running up to your exam, another thing that we would recommend is when you're beginning the journey taking your IELTS, you should actually go to an established school and do a mock test to get your estimated band score, your estimated level in English. If you do this when you begin, you can quickly identify kind of what the level you're beginning at, and then you can work to improve different areas of your ability in English. That's going to be really effective.
It will. It will also help you see what level of book you need to be getting for your fun reading. Remember, that should be below your level, and then you can get a graded reader, like this one. This is just one example, and the reason I say it's a graded reader is on the back, it actually shows you your level, and you can find all this out through your mock exam.
So this is the book I've been reading Michael when he goes to sleep. It sends him right off.
I have nightmares, both because of who's reading it and the content of the book.
So why is Phil in my bedroom? Okay, guys, so taking the IELTS, it really is going to be a long journey, and it's not going to be easy. We're not going to lie to you.
But you can do it.
You definitely can do it. But as long as you get yourself organised, and the best way to do that is just to follow the tips we've been talking about in this video. Now, if you want to have any other tips and advice, then subscribe to the channel, because we release a video twice a week, and it's full of information like this, practice, and also a few jokes from time to time.
A few. One of us is funny.
Yeah, which one is it?
Leave a comment down below, and we will see you next time. This has been Michael.
And Phil, and you've been watching the IELTS Grind.
See you next time.
See ya.